Hey, Brandon here. This is channeled advice on the week ahead, and I've got channel messages that came through from my spirit guides, the angels and source, ahead of time that I'll be reading through, and I'll also be working with them to bring through any additional information that would be for your highest good as I'm reading through these. And this is for the week of Monday, December 23rd through the 29th. Okay. Really quickly before we begin, I do have a new course that I'm launching. It'll be a live course called Shift Your Beliefs, Upshift Your Life. And pretty self-explanatory based on the title. It's going to be about shifting your beliefs, how to do that, ways to do that, how to recognize beliefs that are in your way. And I'll have more information about that at the end of the course. You can also look below in the description for a link to check that out and see if it's for you. And if you feel drawn to it, if you feel like it will help you change your life for the better, I'd love to see you there and to see what it can contribute to you and your life for the highest good. So let's start here. They'd like me to flow a little bit before I read what came through ahead of time. So let's see. They show me a finish line here. They show me like the Four of Wands tarot card, which can also symbolize finish lines depending on who's reading the cards and what they've honed in on that. And there are a lot of finish lines being reached this week. There are a lot of potentially even like milestones for the soul on certain levels for some of you, like maybe even in self development. I mean, on one level, let me see how they'd like me to say it. It kind of makes sense because we have the holidays coming up this week. I know a lot of people are celebrating Christmas this week, or there probably could have been, other major holidays being celebrated around this time as well. So I think sometimes with work or different things, we'll hit certain milestones anyways, even if it's just like, well, we hit the end of the year as far as our quota, time to take the week off or take the couple days off for, the holidays here or whatever. And a lot of people do tend to take breaks around this time period or work, depending on what your work is and where you work, what is going on with you there. I know a lot of workplaces kind of lays off a little bit, not in a bad way, towards the end of the year around this time period. So enjoy that if that's you having that. But there are a lot of chapters turning around this time period, especially for like the next 3 months, is what I'm hearing with like potentially new beginnings happening, uh, turning pages in career for certain people, turning pages in personal world. So kind of just let that happen and know like these finish lines are supposed to be hit. They're supposed to be crossed, even if it's just energetic and you're crossing like an energetic threshold into the next year around this time period. And that's the finish line you're crossing. Um, there are major shifts on the other end of the finish line and those kind of things coming up here. So know that that is on the way, and it's a major theme for 2025. I know that seems like that's been kind of a theme like every year, maybe for most people or a lot of people. Um, but I'm getting this first half of the year coming up here. There are going to be a lot of major shifts. So keep that in mind with the finish line message. So, number one, they showed me a banana. They're showing me the Mario Kart banana as well as I'm reading this. And the message they're saying is don't slip up and work too hard, which is really funny. But this is like a rest week for most people. So don't overdo it. It's okay to take time for you. This is a time of recovery and rest. No need to force things, no need to overwork. What can you do that would be sustainable and restful for you? So I know some people might have stressful jobs or work in certain industries where they do have to work this week. And this message might not be as resonant for you as far as like work is concerned. However, as far as like home life is concerned, maybe do your best to rest if you can, or to take a night off if you can, or do something for yourself to be maybe extra restful. This is a time of recovery, as they said, and many of you need that, is what I'm hearing, or it would just do you well. So try not to think like, oh, I need to work super hard this week and get all this stuff done. It's probably going to be something that would bite most people in the butt around this time period as far as people tuning into this. Not to put that on you. And some of you would be okay. Some of you, maybe you had a rest period before this you were forced into and you're like raring to go and like, yeah, that's okay. But the main message is to rest. Okay. Number two, the message is to cast your wishes. They're showing me like a hat, like someone casting wishes into a hat or throwing coins into the hat or coins into a fountain is something they're showing me as well. Kind of like a magician with a hat or pulling a rabbit out of a hat. And the universe would like to work magic for you, is what I'm getting. So Now is like the best time to set intentions for the year ahead, for things you'd like to see maybe in the first half of the year, maybe even to set intentions for things you would like to leave your life. If there's like a tough situation, you're like, I'd like this gone or something like that. So it's a good time to be like, what are you ready to let go of? What are you ready to bring in, I guess you could say. But what they said ahead of time, this is a great time to manifest for 2025 in your future. This is a great time to call on what you desire. So really straightforward. I don't probably have to explain a lot for this message. I'm sure most of you have your own ways that you manifest or call things in. So you can do that, or you can start a vision board for your future in 2025. Or you don't have to do that. Do what feels right to you and what you feel called to. There's a lot of different exercises you could do. There's a lot of information out there. So if you did something last year, maybe do what worked for you last year, or maybe do that and try something new. But the universe is asking you to not just necessarily leave 2025 up to chance, call in what you'd like. At least ask for it and see what happens, you know? So I just feel like that's going to be helpful, and it starts moving the energies for 2025. And for some reason, this is a potent week to do that for whatever reason. Number three, actually, there's a 2.5 showing up here. They're showing me champagne. They're showing me the word celebration. And this is a great week to, obviously, it's the holidays to celebrate. I know some people have a weirder time around this time. I know it's not always for me coming into like this time of year, at least when I was in like my early 20s or teenage years, or it was more of like a joyful time where more people seem to be in a good mood. There kind of seemed to be a Christmas spirit, if you will, or a holiday spirit. Not like a spirit, you know, but like people being cheerful. And I would always kind of enjoy that, like when people would kind of just be in a better mood at work and they wouldn't be like working. Well, depending on the job, they wouldn't be working super hard. They'd be more just like in a cheerful mood. So I'd always enjoy this time of year and feel like it felt magical to a certain extent. I know for other people, that's not their story. That's not their experience. That wasn't what they had growing up, or maybe they had a loss, and so that can be a lot for you. So be kind to yourself. That's one of the messages that came through ahead of time as well. If that's you, you don't have to force yourself. We'll talk about celebration in a second. You don't have to force yourself to feel a certain way or feel like you're wrong for feeling the way you're feeling. I would allow yourself to process what comes up. But if you'd like to shift it and call on something different, great. Maybe you can. Maybe that's something you can intend for your future. Uh, but try not to think you have to feel something other than what you're feeling in this moment, you know, when it comes to things like that. Going back to celebration, though, I feel like a lot of you will, if not all of you, will have. A lot of you will have reasons to celebrate, or things that are shown to you that will give you reason to celebrate, or there's a lot to be grateful for, or there will be, you know. So when that happens, it can be helpful to like stay in the energy of celebration and cultivate that within ourselves. And it kind of can magnetize more to us. So don't neglect what celebration can do. And even if you don't feel like you have much to celebrate, like you can celebrate being alive and getting to experience this day for most of you. I know some people get mad and they have stories like, "Well, I just had a crappy day. I can't celebrate any." And if you would like to get mad, that's fine. It's but you are still alive. You can still celebrate the fact you are alive, that you're breathing, that you have a chance to experience good things, to call in good things, that you can have food you can enjoy, drink you enjoy, an experience you enjoy. You could probably put a movie on and do something you enjoy, or do something to set an intention of like celebrating you, your life. If you don't feel like you'd like to celebrate this year, celebrate the possible great futures you can have, or the good things that will come in the future, because there will be good experiences sometime in the future. It's not all going to be crappy, not for this crowd at least. So at least allow that possibility, you know? So that's kind of what I guess I'll say about celebration. Besides that, there just will be things to celebrate. So please enjoy whatever shows up for you that you can celebrate, however the universe brings it to you, whether it's literally like a Christmas gift or it's a surprise phone call from a friend with good news for you, or whatever it is, however it gets to you. Please enjoy and celebrate what it is you could celebrate, what it shows up for you to be celebrated. Number three, they gave me the word introspection. So this is a great time, of course, to be introspective about the past year. What did you love? What do you wish was different? What are you called to next year? And what is your soul saying about next year? We'll get to that in a second here. So I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. It could be a good time to like journal or just kind of reflect on what happened, what you'd like that's different. And again, like setting intentions, kind of setting those intentions to change certain things or to call new things in, to release certain things, even with the new year. Again, I feel like that'll be helpful. What are you called to next year? Again, really self explanatory. We already talked about it. As far as like what your soul is saying about next year, I would maybe, depending on where you're at, if you're someone who channels, it might be a good idea to write down what your soul would like to tell you about next year and channel that through and see what you get about the next year for you and the new year for you. Or if you're newer and you like to try it, maybe try it. See if you get a word, see if you get something, a picture. Or if you're not as practiced as you'd like to be, maybe try it anyways and see what shows up. And if you're new, I'm not gonna like promise you'll be a channeling pro tomorrow if you try this. So you might be surprised that you have things show up if you kind of write down, well, what would my soul like to tell me about 2025? And just see what comes to you. And when it comes to like learning how to channel, even if you're like brand new and you try that and you don't get anything, you are still practicing getting in the frequency of receiving messages. So you're still moving the energies in that direction and showing the universe you'd like to try it. And you're allowing a chance for the universe to work through you and bring that your way if you'll give it a shot. So that would make sense, especially if you're doing it consistently, like every day or every other day or something that works for you. But that's one way to start channeling is practicing it, setting the intention, practicing it, every day or something like that, even if it's just 5 minutes or something like that to move the needle in that direction. And I could get into a lot of information or stories about that. Sometimes the universe just that's directly how it happens. Sometimes the universe might show you a different way that you work that shows up because you're taking action to move the needle in a certain area. One time I was working with someone, they'd booked a reading with me and they were looking to work on channeling. And what came through was like, hey, why don't you just next 30 days, every day, you're going to take 5 or however many minutes and channel a message for yourself. And they said they weren't really getting it through words. But what happened is they were driving home one day and they got like a visual in response to like something they were thinking about or a question they asked. They got like an intuitive visual of something. And they're like, oh, wait a second, that's how my intuition works. And so maybe they didn't get it the exact way they were thinking it would show up, but it did show up when they set that intention and really started to move the needle in that direction, just in a different way than they thought it might. And then they could start to work with their intuition, how it was showing up, and grow it from there. So you could use that in a lot of areas, if not any area, not just intuition. Uh, if you'd like an idea for manifesting, like sometimes taking action is a key, even if it's not like the perfect thing, at least. And if you are in tune with your intuition enough to know like what is the best thing to do, I would definitely do it. Because like the right thing is helpful when we're moving the needle in a certain direction. However, if we're just fresh and we're just doing our best and we're just figuring it all out, at a certain point, at least doing your best to try something is going to allow the universe to bring in the things that will work for you or show you what's going on. So, and what to do. So feel free to give it a shot. Okay. Number four is a message to cherish yourself, but it was almost like cherish yourself this year or this upcoming year or just in general, not just this week. Maybe some of you feel like this is a joke, me saying that, but let's get into it and see like what they actually have to say about it. So this week is asking you to cherish yourself, to put yourself first enough that you're having a good time. It doesn't mean ruin everyone else's day or be awful to people. It's about doing what you have to do for yourself. So it's really about self-care. It's about putting yourself first enough that you're not a doormat to family or other people, but it also doesn't mean being mean to family or other people or starting fights unnecessarily and being aggressive, unnecessarily with people. So I'd really up your self care this week, whether it has to do with being around family or it's just you're feeling sad this week, or maybe you're doing great and it would just make things better, for yourself. Like, what do you need this week? How can you give it to yourself? But for some reason, the universe is asking you to cherish yourself and like realize you matter and you're valuable and to treat yourself like that. And it can move the energies when we treat ourselves a certain way. So if we start treating ourselves with self love through our actions, even through what we're doing for ourselves, through self care, like that moves the needle in our world energetically in a different way. If that's not our pattern, where the universe is going to give us dividends because of that, or things are going to start being magnetized towards us differently because we're in that energy more, and we are showing the universe we're taking care of ourselves and that we matter to ourselves. And even if you think of your beliefs or maybe your subconscious, like what are you telling yourself when you take care of yourself well versus when you don't take care of yourself well? Like what are you telling yourself you deserve with your actions when you don't put yourself first enough? And I know some of you have kids and like that's a challenge. And I'm not saying like abandon your kids or like, screw you, kids. It's mama's self care weekend, or something like that. But can you find enough of a balance where you're taking care of yourself enough that it moves the needle in this direction, enough that you're getting enough results to kind of create some space for yourself or change the energies a little bit? And I'm going to tell you a quote from the book Energy Speaks by Lee Harris, where his guides brought through a message where it's like, because there's like this thing called the self love challenge, and you're supposed to take like 3 hours out of your week for 3 weeks where you would do like a self love activity. And what they were saying is like, if you can't find like 30 minutes every day for 6 days or like somehow carve out 3 hours just for you, you're kind of in like an energetic slavery mode to everyone else, and it's not really a healthy place. And like there's probably a way you can manifest things, change things, heal things, transform things where you're not at the whim of everyone else that much. So you have some sort of help with whatever's going on in your world, that you can have 30 minutes to yourself a day or thirty minutes. It's just not healthy, and you're not living yourself. You're probably not, what's the best way to say this? You're probably not living your life enough for you at that point if you really can't take some time out of your week for you to cherish yourself or to care for yourself. So that's kind of what they're talking about, even as far as like rearranging energetic patterns as an example, and moving the energies in your world through your actions, through what you're showing yourself, through the actions you're taking, etc. They're saying you got it. So they're saying to move on to number 5 here. There's a 4.5 here. So they're just kind of going further with this, like show yourself that you matter and cherish yourself somehow, some way, even if it's a small action. Do what you can for starters, and see what space opens up for you and see what can shift over time. Number 5, I didn't say that perfectly. No, things will shift. Okay. Number 5, be kind to yourself this week. We're kind of on the same note. Anyways, do everything you can to be kind to yourself this week. Kindness to yourself can, okay, again, it can look like self care. It can look like healthy boundaries. It can look like feeding yourself foods that are nourishing. It can look like taking space for you, or otherwise giving yourself the experience that is best for you and healthiest for you in balance with what you're working with in your life. So, what can you do to be kind to yourself? Pretty self explanatory. Let's move on. They're saying it's a bonus, but like a bonus message coming through here. They're showing me like gingerbread, like a gingerbread man, like a donut, like a maple donut. So, what's the message with the gingerbread house and man and stuff like that here? So they're showing this gingerbread man, his gingerbread house is like growing stale and like falling apart and falling away. And they're giving this message about the old world falling away. It's part of the finish lines message as well, sort of, where it's linking in with that sort of in a way where there are a lot of things that were part of the old reality that are not there anymore. And you could look at this in terms of like new earth versus old earth, or maybe 5D versus 3D, or just like how some of the older, more not aligned, heavier energetic structures that were in place in the old world, if you will, are like really falling apart. So things really are loosening up for you to have a new world and for the new things to come in. So don't think that you're stuck. It's again, it's part of the finish line message. Don't think like things will never change. For some of you, yeah, maybe things will be in a certain place for a certain amount of time and maybe things are good for you and you're like, I'm not sure if a lot of change is like the best thing right now. And that's okay. You could change internally and improve things there. There's a lot of other ways it could show up. Uh, but try not to expect things to stay the same is pretty much the message with the way the energies have shifted. The physical is going to be shifting soon for most of you is what I'm getting in pretty big ways. At least in the next few months, okay? It doesn't have to be this week. But for some reason it's coming through with this here. And they might wish for me to or say something a little bit differently than what I said. So let me say with this a bit here. So the energetic structures, the old structures leaving is also about your internal self and the way you look at the world. There's not a lot that's supporting negative belief systems that would cause you to be harmful to other people, belief systems that would keep you stuck in negative situations. Like all that's changing, which if you've been doing work on that, that's good work is what I'm hearing. So you're going to see the new birthing because of that, if that's been work you've been doing for most of you. Not saying that there won't still be some work to do in some areas or certain things to shift, but that's just kind of what I'm hearing for a lot of you here is the support beams are loosening up for ways things have been stuck. Number 6 here, unless they want me to get to something else. If you didn't understand that message, don't worry. Like it'll either make sense in the future or you're not looking at it energetically. You're only looking at it like mentally and physically, and you might be kind of missing the point if that's the only way you're seeing it. And there's more here. So the gingerbread man, actually, we're still with the gingerbread man. He doesn't see the new that's on the way. He does like in this example, there's like a new gingerbread girlfriend and there's like a new home and there's like life is way better. So don't be alarmed at the old leaving. Like it's to make room for the best is what I'm hearing, at least over time. Number 6, they give me the word joy. And I know I've brought this through before. I think it can be a helpful reminder if needed anytime. What can you do that brings you joy this week? What can you do that will facilitate joy for you? Invite it in. So we can cultivate joy, we can generate joy, we can schedule things that bring us joy and like sit with an intention to bring joy and generate things that way. I talk about this probably a lot, though I think it's something that's helpful anyways. Like we can just ask for like, what would it be like if I were in total joy and my life had total joy in it and things were great? And then you get that energy and walk yourself into it and feel the energy of what it would be like, perceive it. And just like, as you sit in it and you feel in that, for me, it probably for a lot of people, once they kind of get in tune, get honed in with this stuff, like your body, for me, my body will just react. So if I'm like, what would it be like if I were in total joy and everything were just really great and 10 times better than they are right now? And see, my body will react like that. Like I'm smiling. It feels really good. I have that feeling of joy. And then I could just sit in this and be like, wow, this is great. This is light. And if you're able to sit in that energy for a time, it magnetizes that towards you, the physical circumstances that will bring that to you. That's one way to manifest, actualize things, etc. And so you could even just do that if you're at a loss and you're at the place where you can do that. Otherwise, is it like tea? Is sitting and drinking tea and taking 15 minutes for yourself something that brings you joy? Is channeling for yourself something that brings you joy? Is it energy healing? Is it crystal? Whatever it is, you can kind of intentionally bring in joy and grow that. And it's recommended because then joy starts to percolate more in your world and become more a part of your everyday reality. And then you're living in more joy. So that's cool. So there's at least one more thing they'd like to get to before we close this out here. It might be a slightly shorter one than usual, which is okay here. But let me see what else you'd like to talk about before we close this out. For some reason, I'm just hearing try not to be hard on yourself this week. Try not to be hard on yourself about what you accomplished or didn't accomplish this year. Like there is always next year. Now might be the time to look at like, okay, what are the reasons you didn't take action if you felt like you could have done more? For some people, maybe it's good to check like, are you being unnecessarily hard on yourself too? Before we start digging into all that other stuff too. Like it could be a good time for self-awareness. Like, well, did I actually do enough if I look at it intuitively. I'm just being hard on myself about this, this, and this. Or maybe those things I wished to take action on, it wasn't the right time for those things. It was okay that, you didn't take action on all those different things. Like maybe it'll be time next year to move forward in some of those areas you were wishing you'd taken action on. Um, though, again, what I was getting to originally, what they were kind of saying is it could be a good idea to check in on some of those things and just be like, okay, what can we do differently next year? How can we change the patterns that you're not liking? How can we ask for things to be a little bit different and show up differently next year, or change things within ourselves so things are generated differently next year? But in the meantime, rest, recover. You probably did enough. And even if you don't think you did, maybe that was a learning so you do more next year, or put more effort in next year or something like that. But don't be hard on yourself, okay? Do your best to, if you're in a place where you can enjoy things, enjoy things. Do your best to get to a good place. Do your best to rest and recover. Do yourself a favor and take care of yourself and generate better through that. I feel like that's it. So, anything else? I'm wishing you well. I hope that was helpful, resonated to whatever was for your eyes good. It's potentially kind of a chill week. You know what, with like the holidays and all that, just do your best with everything. So if you'd like to go further with the course I mentioned earlier, I'm launching a course on February 7th called Shift Your Beliefs, Upshift Your Life. And we're going to be going deep on, channel messages around this topic, of course, as well. However, methods to, I guess, analyze your beliefs, see what your beliefs are, see what might be causing you to generate a life that's less than what you'd like to generate because of your beliefs. Because I won't go too far into explaining this right now, but your beliefs create your reality. It's something I've really delved into more lately over the past little while here, or maybe more than a little while, and seeing just for myself and other people, the actual like results and effects that they bring about, and how shifting them can really change things in a really positive way. So I'm rolling out this course knowing this is going to generate some good things for you, if especially if it's the right fit for you and this is an area you need to delve into and shift. It will help you to create a different reality, create a better reality. So again, we'll be delving into beliefs, how beliefs change your reality, how beliefs create your reality, how to change your beliefs and install new beliefs that will generate a greater reality for you, how to maybe even heal regarding old beliefs. And there'll be some different exercises we'll go through as far as how to shift your beliefs, how to install new ones. There's also a lot of really cool bonus stuff. Like we'll be going through Valeuka and some of the Valeuka symbols, which is a modality I channeled through, how to work with those to shift beliefs. And there's also some bonus content on just how to work with some of the Valeuka symbols in general. So I'm excited about that. But you can find that link below to sign up for that course and register for it if it feels right to you. If you would like a discount, you can also look at the Let's Go Higher membership, because members have a $22 discount on that course. And if you sign up for the Let's Go Higher membership, on the one of the links below, you get $12 off your first month. So you get like a bunch of money off the first month. Then you get $22 off the course. So there's a lot of discounts you can get as well for this. And yeah, if you signed up for my newsletter, you probably got an email with your own exclusive $11 discount on the course as well. So you can try to find that email, or I'm sure I'll put it in the email for this video as well if you missed that last email. But you can find the rest of what I facilitate and the offerings that I have available on brandonhbloom.com. I'll let you look at that if you feel called to it. And if you feel called to the course, I hope to see you there. I'm excited to see what that will contribute to you and the people who feel called to join. And otherwise, I will see you in another video on YouTube or elsewhere. All right. Take care.